Welcome to the weekly close live. And here we are, myself, Dividend Dave, and my co host, Joseph Hadaway. It is Friday, March 15th, and we are into episode 7. We've been doing this for 7 weeks already. And how are
Yeah.
you this week, Joseph?
I mean, you can call me anything but late for supper. I don't mind the Joe. I'm doing well. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, no, it was a good week. Very busy at work, so the week went by very quickly. I guess right off the top, let's get into the weekly close. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
So, uh, just give me a second here to pull up the screen. If
This
you buy
is
me some time, I'll get the screen up and we'll go over the closing numbers for the week.
I was gonna say this is my opportunity to vamp every week. If I had something to promote, now would be the time, but I really don't. Buyinvestingshirts.com, help Dave out, subscribe, hit the bell, like. And you know what? If you're in chat right now and you bought stocks this week, let us know what you bought. We'd love to hear from you. Did they report earnings? Did you just buy an index fund? Or are you just buying something, stable, not investment advice like an Apple or a Microsoft?
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So, first, thank you for the plug. Passive Income Posse merchandise available at buyinvestingshirts.com. I do believe the link is in the description. So, like I said, we'll just quickly go over the closing numbers for the week. The TSX closing at 21,849. And I did notice this week at one point, I believe it was on Wednesday, did inch over that 22,000 mark. So, still didn't hit an all time high, but getting very, very close, which is very typical of Canada and the Canadian market, just kind of always trailing the US by 2, 3, 4 months. And give or take, right? And as we know, the S&P 500 has hit a few new all-time highs. Here we are switching over to the S&P 500, closing this week at 5,117, and that is in USD. I believe, yeah, I'm sure the TSX must have been in CAD, but um, I'm not sure. Did the S&P hit another all-time high this week,
I
or
believe it did on Tuesday, but it's sunk since then.
right? Moving along to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, closing this week at 38,714. And the Canadian to US dollar, if you go out the decimal places to 4 decimal places, it is below the 74 cents. But again, we've been right on 74 cents for 7 straight weeks now. No surprise there, really. Crude oil closing at $81, 81 USD. Bitcoin, we're definitely going to talk about Bitcoin a little bit this week. Obviously, Bitcoin never closes. This is in CAD, Canadian dollars, so currently at 91,831.
What is that?
Gold,
1.8 trillion market cap? Wow.
yeah, I know, right?
I
Do
mean,
we
I
ever
know
have
that's
we ever
CAD.
covered gold before here on the weekly close live? I can't even recall.
Now
But
would be the time. It's also at record highs.
right, closing this week, $2,159.40, and that is also in USD. I am here on yahoofinance.ca, so you really do have to watch this line right here if you see my mouse, you really do have to watch that line to know if you're looking at things in US or Canadian dollars. The NASDAQ composite closing this week at 15,973. And then what else do we have? The FTSE. Let's give a shout out to our mates over there in England, in London, England, and all of the British Isles, Great Britain, and Ireland. Ireland is definitely different than Great Britain. We know this. The FTSE closing this week at $7,727, and actually, again, watch this line when you're on yahoofinance.ca. That is in Great British Pounds. For our one Japanese viewer, shout out to that one Japanese viewer that we have every week. 38,707, and that is in the Japanese yen. And for fun, the euro, Canada to euro is around 68 cents. And so, yeah, that is the closing numbers for the week. And we will definitely get in quickly here to the doing this again this week. I don't know why. I don't know why that's doing that. So yeah, we will get into the earnings reports from this week and kind of go through step by step. Definitely not nearly as exciting as
No.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, there was so many earnings from so many companies, and I don't know where do we go next? What you tell me what you want to do, Joe?
I mean, hey, we might as well start off with Monday's earnings. The
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'll bring up the tab or the Monday's earnings. Just give me a second here again, and here we go. Monday's earnings. So we had Ballard, which actually is kind of an interesting one. Then a lot of before open, not much else. After close, Oracle, and then Vail Resorts. That's interesting. So what do you have? What do you have prepared to talk about here for Monday?
So the only one I really want to talk about is Oracle. Stock's up like 12% this week. $1.41 expected over $1.38 actual. Really good outlook in the future. But the main reason I wanted to talk about them was, Dave, I'm sure you heard about this, but the U.S. House of Representatives voted to ban TikTok or force parent company ByteDance to divest from it.
Right.
Which this is not the first time that has happened. If you everyone remembers back during the Trump administration, I think this would have been 2019-ish, maybe 2018. He attempted to do something similar, or his administration attempted to do something similar with to get ByteDance to divest from it. That did not go through. But if we remember back then, the leading bid to buy out TikTok was an 80-20 split, Oracle and Walmart. So now, as we're facing the potential TikTok divestiture again, is Oracle going to throw its hat in the ring again?
Right.
And if it does, what does that actually mean? Because ByteDance has said if they choose to divest from TikTok, they're basically only selling the intellectual assets. They will not be selling the algorithm. They find that as too proprietary to sell or let into someone else's hands. So they didn't really make that big of a stink in like 2019, 2018, whenever the first round of this was. Is Oracle going to throw their hat in the ring again? And if they do, like let's just say this all goes through and they do buy TikTok, are the intellectual assets worth it alone?
Yeah, so a couple points there. First, Walmart. Why is Walmart or was, I guess this is going back a few years, why was Walmart thinking about getting into the social media game? Like they're a retailer. Like that's their gig, right?
Yes, but if they get a pre-made app like that, the advertising is built in.
Right.
And if they own it, they're not paying market rate. They're going to pay cost for ads.
Yeah, so I guess kind of lucky there that
same reason that if you look at it, same reason they bought Vizio, to make it cheaper to put their ads on Vizio's smart TV products.
Yeah. So just be thankful that for the last 6-7 years, your TikTok feed has not just been a constant stream of Walmart ads, because that's what it would have been, right?
More than likely.
Yeah. So very interesting though, because yes, obviously, yes, I did hear about the whole thing going on in the US with TikTok and ByteDance and selling and the people who are potentially bidding to buy it. Yeah, so I guess it's really right now it's a sort of a wait and see or not sort of, it's definitely a wait and see situation where, okay, well, what's going to happen next? Is some billionaire uh going to come in? Is Jeff Bezos going to come in? Like, I mean, obviously Amazon already has Prime Video, but that's more long form streaming content, sort of more similar to Netflix, right? But is someone like Jeff Bezos going to come in and say, "Hey, TikTok might be sort of a perfect thing for what we're doing here with Amazon too." I'm literally just throwing that name out there because obviously the price tag is going to be extremely high, so it's going to have to be someone who has the funds to back it. Basically, a billionaire, right? Like it's not you and I can't put our $300 together and form a bid. You know what I'm saying?
I'm also curious, like what company has like the largest pile of cash right now? Apple. Could they throw their hat in the ring? And I mean, they've already got. I mean, they've got the iPhone. They've got Apple. We'll talk about this when we get to Apple's earnings. Apple's floundering a little bit right now, which makes me. I bring this up all the time. Tim Cook and I are from the same small town, so the more Apple flounders, the better I look. But
So it's Tim Cook, not Tim Apple.
I call them both. I mean, it's kind of like saying Jimmy Beast. We all know who you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I do call him Jimmy Beast a lot, I know.
I think most people do. Or at least I've heard it quite a bit. I'm not, maybe not most, but either way. Well, that's my other question. I haven't heard any rumors about this. Apple just bought an AI firm this week, but that's another talk when we get to their earnings. Would Apple throw its hat? I mean, they've got the cash. They may be the only people who have the cash to do it themselves. But it's a wait and see. It's got to get through the Senate, and it's got to go on Biden's desk. And then at that point, ByteDance has 180 days to decide what they're going to do with it. So
I just had a very interesting thought as we're talking about Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast. What if he formed a group and threw his hat in the ring to buy TikTok?
I mean, he'd have to form quite the group because I think his net worth is only. Well, actually, no. ByteDance as a full company is only valued at $300 million.
Yeah.
So I was going to say Jimmy's net worth is only $500 million, but wait a minute, he could be more valuable in theory than TikTok.
Wow. That's interesting. Somebody should tweet to Jimmy, "Hey Jimmy, can you just buy TikTok and get this over with?" Because honestly, he might be the best owner for it because it's his, that's his thing, right? Making videos. That's his thing. So
I mean, I keep saying the dude lives right down the road from me. I'll go knock on his door.
Yeah, don't do that, man.
He bought a neighborhood, like a whole neighborhood here kind of recently. I'll just go start putting flyers around.
Yeah, there you go. Anything else from Monday, or are we going to move into Tuesday?
I think we can move into Tuesday.
All right. So do I have Tuesday pulled up there? Yes, I do.
Yes, sir, you do.
ADM. That is an interesting one to me because that is actually a company I work with. So they are a huge supplier in the food industry, supplying almost anything you can imagine. And basically what I buy from them in my work life, my day-to-day 9 to 5 is, for our company, it seems like big amounts, but for their company, it's like just this minuscule little bit of side business for them. But so, I don't know. Do you know anything about ADM, or did you watch any of that, or do you want to skip over that and get into something else?
Yeah, I have not heard of. There are so many stocks this week that I've never heard of. ADM being one of them. The only one I picked out this week was before open on Tuesday because I have a after close too. I think. No, I have two before open. Kohl's.
Right.
Once was kind of the shining. I mean, I feel like not probably pre-COVID. Now that I'm talking about it, but like for a while there, they were kind of the shining jewel of brick and mortar retail when like Macy's was going down and JCPenney was going down and Dillard's was going down. Kohl's wasn't doing half bad. But down 7.5% this week, missed EPS by about 40 cents a share. Their dividend yield is actually sitting at almost 8% right now, which is kind of high. Not investment advice, but and also overall sales were down 1.1% from 2022. They did raise their outlook slightly, but I mean, even then, we're looking at a 2022, 2021 break even, maybe. Yeah, people are not liking that brick and mortar right now.
No, brick and mortar retail has been difficult for years. Ever since online shopping has become a thing, more and more people, and obviously the size of Amazon again, talking about Jeff Bezos and Amazon, and people are just happy to sit at home and click buttons on their phone or their laptop and have the product delivered to them the next morning, right? Like, why am I going to go out and fight traffic and try to find a parking spot and walk into a store and look around the store and try to find what I need when I could just go to Amazon and buy it in like 30 seconds, right? So yeah,
It's
brick and mortar retail has been becoming more and more difficult with like each and every passing day, month, year.
the other one I wanted to bring up, and it's because I feel like I have to bring this one up. Manchester United reported earnings down there on the before open, and again, not a stock I'd usually look at or a company I'd look into, but I feel like we have our I'm going to assume probably UK based viewers who would like to hear about it. They're actually down about 3% on the week, which is kind of weird because their EPS came in at negative 22 expected, but they were actually profitable at 15 cents actual. And their forecast was expecting record revenue in 2024 for the company. So I don't understand why they're down. And I couldn't find any good information. Maybe profit margins are expected to lower. Somebody in the chat helped me out because I was doing some research and nobody, I don't know, there, as you'll see throughout this week, so I'm going to bring this up at least once more. A lot of humdrum this week.
Yeah.
A lot of people said like, "Oh man, you reported earnings. All right."
Yeah. Okay.
And that seems to be what happened here. At least I don't know. Maybe I didn't go far enough down the Google rabbit hole. Maybe the answer was on page 2.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even realize that was Manchester United. I saw the symbol there, the logo, and obviously, I'm sure if we were in the UK, we would know that logo was Man U, like right off the bat. And I didn't even realize that was Manchester United. I didn't even realize until right now. I'm today's years old when I just learned Man U is a publicly traded company.
The only reason I know is because last quarter when they were going to report their earnings, I found them on the earnings calendar and I was doing all my content for Marketplace and I was like, oh, I have a great idea. Let's do a Manchester United day. Let's make it all about soccer, football, wherever you live in the country. Let's do a whole thing about them. And I had like 4 TikToks filmed, edited, ready to go. Couple things written. I just needed their earnings results because they even like announced like, hey, we are reporting on Thursday. So I had everything ready to go on Thursday. Thursday morning comes and they just don't report. And they don't say anything. And they just don't for like 3 weeks. I was like, oh, come on. That's the only reason I know because I wasted so much time on them. Which I'm just, this man, God, one of our UK viewers is going to crucify me for this, but is Man U good? Do they win? Like, was I more disappointed than Manchester United sports fan? I actually have no idea.
So I again, I'm not 100% positive either because here in Canada, I follow definitely more hockey than probably any other sport. But I can tell you historically, yes, Manchester United have had extremely good teams. This season or this past season, I don't know how good or bad they may have been, but historically, they've won championships. I'm sure they've won like the premiership, I believe it's called. So historically, yes, and you know, basically, I believe Manchester United in England would be compared to like the New York Yankees in the US, right? Like,
Okay, that's
one of the biggest teams, the team that has historically won. Obviously, there's seasons where they're not as good as other seasons, but just have that massive fan base, right? Like so. And
okay.
I don't know
That makes sense.
that our UK viewers might crucify me for saying what I just said as well. Who knows?
How dare you compare them to the Yankees?
Yeah,
They're
right.
they're definitely the Tom Brady Patriots.
Yeah, maybe that might be a better
I,
analogy or comparison.
again, like the good American I am, I don't watch soccer at all, except maybe the World Cup. I will tune into the World Cup here and there, and I definitely do not tune into any foreign country soccer.
Right.
I'm gonna keep calling it soccer until the one UK fan gets mad enough at me to type in the chat.
Exactly, right. Oh, yeah, no, similar, I would probably maybe watch a little more, Olympic, soccer. The Canadian women's soccer team has done well in the Olympics, and The Canadian men's soccer team has just recently started, like, just the last World Cup was the first time it even qualified since the 80s, and I think we're qualified for the next one only because it's being hosted between, like, here, the US, and, like, Canada, the US, and Mexico is hosting the next one. I think that might be the only reason we got in because we're a host country.
Makes sense to
I'm
me.
not even sure. Now I'm gonna have some Canadian soccer fan crucifying me in the chat, so, hey, it's all it's all about the controversy, right?
Yeah, if you're mad about what me and Dave are saying right now, put it in the comments. We'll read it, and I will cry myself to sleep tonight.
And
I can't
talk
speak.
to and tell your therapist about it on Monday.
Like
Okay, we're still on. Where are we? Still on Tuesday?
I'm ready to move on to Wednesday if you are.
Wasn't there something after market on Tuesday that you wanted to talk about?
I said there was, but then I realized that Man U reported pre-market.
Oh, okay. So let me just see. Does this work? Does that just slide over to Wednesday right there?
Which also,
Yes, I
why
believe it
are
did.
they on U.S. exchanges? That one I don't understand.
Why is Man U on the U.S. exchange?
I mean, yeah, like FTSE's right there. I would assume.
Yeah, I'm sure it's traded on the FTSE as well. There's lots of companies that are listed on more than one exchange.
That's a fair point.
Okay, Wednesday before open, Dollar Tree. I'm sure you probably have something to say about that.
I do.
Petco.
I don't have. I did not watch their earnings. I don't know what they do, but I want to shout out Petco. Their ticker is Woof, and it's my favorite ticker on the whole market. Awesome. It's my favorite one, and it's not even close.
Okay, yeah, I can get on board with that for sure, right?
Dollar Tree though, Dollar Tree kind of a fun one. They're actually down 16% this week. Or at least actually, let me check because I did my notes pre-market this morning. And as we're about to learn in a minute, my pre-market notes didn't hold up today. Today was a wild day in the market.
Right.
So they are actually down. Yeah, I'm still about 15.5% this week. I'd still round up to 16. Slightly missed EPS, 265 expected versus 255 actual. Again, about a 5%, 4% miss. Not really that big of a deal. But the big thing is they are closing stores like crazy. We are looking at potentially closing up to 1,000 Family Dollar stores across North America.
1,000? What?
That was per Unusual Whales is where I found that. So I
didn't even realize there would have been 1,000 of them. Like that's an insane number.
Oh, you wait till we talk about Dollar General.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Dollar Generals there are, but growing up in the Deep South, they were everywhere.
Well, I guess that would probably be part of it. It's just the whole dollar store segment it's become too saturated for that many players to survive.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Right. Are we moving right along to aftermarket on Wednesday?
Yes, because I gave you homework.
Which I did not do.
To be fair, I don't know how you could have. I was making my notes for this one this morning. I just wrote Vroom. Good luck, figure it out. So expected EPS was negative $29.60. And they were right there when they came in at negative $80.51, which is
Isn't that wild?
That is the most wildly unprofitable thing I've ever seen in my life. And this was after market close Wednesday. When I was looking at earnings this morning, the stock was up 15% on the week. And that's when I tweeted this because that made no sense to me. Like, how did you see earnings that bad and then push the stock up 15%? Market normalized a little bit today. Stock crashed about 16, 17% today, normalizing it down about 2-3% for the week. They lost over $300 million last year. The only good news I could find is, again, I was writing this when I still thought they were going to be up 15, 20% on the week, was they announced they've sold Vroom. If anyone who doesn't know, they're kind of like Carvana. They're one of those online car dealerships, which, hey, also put in the chat if you had experience with one of these, because wouldn't mind giving it a try in the not too far off future. But either way, they announced they've sold basically all of their used car inventory, and they officially finished paying off a loan on one of their largest facilities. why the stock jumped after earnings, then immediately. It's one of the most wild things I've ever seen in my life. It is. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But if you look at their week chart, it's up, up, up. Then they report earnings, and it kind of just sits there for a day, and then today it just kind of crashes. I don't get it.
Okay, it looks like you tweeted this to me at 7:57 a.m. and I'll be honest, I did not
Yes.
see it till sometime this afternoon. At Loving 1973, obviously that's my Twitter handle. I'm giving you homework before we go live today. I can't find a good answer, and I'm starting to think the used car sales is a front for voodoo.
Oh yeah, I forgot I did
And
say
yeah, the
that.
numbers here just are amazingly poor. Okay, and then Marketplace, obviously, shout out to you and your guys over there at Marketplace. I need someone to explain to me why we're letting Vroom get away with this. Stock's up 15% on the week. So basically, like you just said, how is a stock up 15% when the expected EPS is pretty much negative 30 and then the actual is negative 80? Like what is going on here? Now,
I
before I finish my little spiel, I do have to defend myself and why I did not do the homework is because I was at work, and for some reason, this whole week, I've been extremely busy at work doing work stuff. Like they've been expecting me to do work stuff, and I haven't had time to go on the internet and look at stocks and do the fun stuff I like to do while I'm at work, right?
Yeah, they're actually fun fact. I'm looking this up too. Their full year EPS was negative $114.40 in terms of their full year results. God, we're gonna start calling them like Rivian, how unprofitable they are. Um,
Oh,
but
okay. Another thing today, I was part of my job is also doing deliveries sometimes. So I was driving down. It's called the 401. It's a freeway here between. It basically goes from the Windsor Detroit border all the way to Montreal. Well, past Montreal. The number changes names when you get from the Ontario Quebec border. So I'm on the freeway today basically, and I'm driving back and I see a Tesla. Okay, no big deal.
yeah,
I've seen lots of Teslas around. I saw my very first Rivian today. It was like an SUV model, but like in big bold letters on the back, it said Rivian, and I was like, "That's the first time I've seen a Rivian just out in the wild."
yeah, I haven't seen near as many, but I used to see a lot of their trucks on the road before we moved. And I know for a fact somebody down the road from my parents owns like 4 or 5 of them. I it I don't know when the next time I'm going to visit my parents is, but I'll send you some pictures when I do.
Are you still allowed to visit your parents after the things you've said about them here on the weekly close live?
Bold of you to assume. Okay, 2 comments. Number 1, bold of you to assume they watch this. Number 2, I say worse to their face.
Yeah, I'm sending them the link. I'm gonna be like, this guy's like talking trash about you all over the internet.
My mom follows me on Twitter. Every now and then I'll get a screenshot of one of my tweets and she'll be like, "What are you talking about here?" If you do
Interesting.
watch this, hi mom, dad.
Yeah,
I know,
exactly.
dad, you're not watching this.
No, definitely send me your mom's Twitter handle because I'm gonna be like, okay, you gotta subscribe and then you gotta start watching this every week so you know what your son's up to.
I do know who watches this. Who has heard me call. My wife has 2 younger sisters, and I know for a fact one of them watches this.
Oh, awesome.
And I don't think she understands. I'm gonna get a mean text here in a minute for saying this. I don't think she really understands what we're talking about, but she watches.
Well, that's good. No, hey, it's part of the learning experience too, right? Like just listening and maybe you start to pick up on things. Hopefully you do. Hopefully she might
Here's
learn
hoping.
something. Not saying that either of us are the best teachers in the world, but
Yeah, if you want to learn how to go live and screw around for half an hour, me and Dave are your guys.
yeah, pretty much, right? That's exactly what we're doing here. Are we moving into Thursday already? We're
We
just
are.
flying through the week again. Thursday. What's good on Thursday? Dollar General again.
Yep.
Dick's Sporting Goods. great name, Canadian Solar. That's all before open. After close, Adobe, Blink. Um, yeah, I don't know what.
So Dollar General was my first pickup because again, I'm anyone also from the deep south in the U.S. can relate. They're everywhere,
Right.
and they like. I actually do it. There's a Dollar General at the exit to my neighborhood right here. That thing burned down, and it took less than 60 days for them to rebuild it from scratch. I don't think I ever heard them hammer and nail. They don't build them; they just appear, and that's such. Dollar General has about 20,000 stores in the U.S. and Mexico alone. There are over 1,100 Dollar Generals just here in North Carolina. In North Carolina, we have 107 Dollar Generals for every million people.
Holy, yeah, those are wild numbers.
And yeah, that's pretty standard. I've got it pulled up here in front of me. Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Ohio, all about the same.
Crazy.
Actually, yeah, Tennessee, they have a $130 generals for every million people. Alabama has 176 for either way. Everywhere, way too many of those things.
Yeah.
Apparently they work. Stocks down 5% on the week. Or again, I'm going to pull the. I actually have to check because today was a weird day in the market. Fridays are generally not much happens, but today it did. Yeah, down about 5% of the week. Did a weird like spike and fall. I don't really know what happened there, but they did beat EPS, $1.83 actual versus $1.75 expected. I gotta start looking at why they were down because 5% is not a huge drop, but it's not insignificant either. Best guess I've got margins, overall net profit margins were down 4.3% in 2023 versus 2022. Sales are only expected to grow by 5.4% in 2024 over 2023, which going back to Costco last Thursday, Wall Street doesn't like single digit growth. And then, yeah, margins, with that margin falling, their net income in 2023 was down 31% from 2022, despite revenues being 2.2% higher. So they made more money, but they also made less money.
You just said they made more money, but they made less money. How does that
Yeah,
work?
they made more revenue, but less
Oh,
net
they made more
income.
revenue.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, we're all good.
Maybe I misheard you. I'm not sure if I misheard you or you misspoke. It was like, what? Okay.
I'm gonna play it off like you misheard me, but I
Yep,
definitely
yep, yep.
misspoke.
Fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
um, and then I guess moving into market close, we got to talk about Adobe.
Oh,
Uh,
hold on. Before we get there, before open, you have nothing about dicks?
I do
You don't like
not.
dicks?
Dave, I'm a happily married man.
I'm sorry. I had to do it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no, no. I'm not mad at all. I saw that today, and I was like, I can either talk about it or I can let Dave move on. I
Yeah,
hate
no,
dicks.
I just uh so in Western Canada, there's actually a Dick's Lumber here, and it's a great, like, it's a lumber yard, like a Home Depot type of, obviously much smaller chain, but still, it's a great sort of, supplier for, for contractors and do-it-yourself home repair. So there's a Dick's Lumber here, and just Dick's Sporting Goods in the U.S. And I mean, from what I've seen, I don't think there's Dick's Sporting Goods in Canada. If there are, they would be in the bigger centers like Toronto or wherever. And yeah, obviously it's must be a really good company. They're there all the time. Um, I also see their Canadian Solar before close. I know historically they've had like most companies, and especially in the renewable sector, they've had their ups and downs. I really don't. I didn't even really see this earlier this week. That the Canadian Solar was on this graphic, so I didn't look into it at all. But um, just another interesting one, I guess, to kind of note as we're moving along here through the week of the earnings reports. And yeah, you wanted to jump into after close with Adobe.
Yeah. I will say, Dick's Sporting Goods, in my opinion, the best sporting goods store. I will hate on Academy all day. We should have done Build a Bear Workshop. That could have been fun. I totally missed them till right now. But yeah, Adobe. Adobe. Oof. Adobe shareholders. I'm not going to call you guys out like I do with Fiverr because Fiverr's a bad investment, not investment advice. Or I feel it's a bad investment based
Hold
on
on,
my
hold on, hold on.
personal
Before you
opinion.
go on, just do you want to get your weekly telling your Fiverr investors to go and cry themselves to sleep? Just
Yeah, Fiverr investors, Upwork investors. I'm guessing things at home aren't going very well. I'm not going to rub it in, but you put your money in a bad spot.
and
And
again, not financial advice,
not
but
not financial advice, but the math does
yeah,
work in my favor.
yeah. Okay, so
And I've been a Fiverr bull since they went public. This is not the only thing that's changed is the number of people that are listening. This is not a new opinion. Now if Zoom tanks, then I've been a bull on them since day one too. Or no, I've been a bear on Zoom since day one. When Zoom tanks, you heard it here first too.
right.
They got to stop beating earnings though. They're actually doing really well. Adobe though, whew, not I know a lot of people who Adobe in a lot of ways was the cornerstone of their portfolio, and that makes a lot of sense. Adobe over the last 5 years, even after this week's 13% drop, or excuse me, 12% drop, is still up 100%. If you've held it even as far back as like 2015, 2016, you're still up 500-600% on your investment. They've had major growth even in the last 8-ish years. The stock's gone from $99 a share to almost 500. So I mean, a lot of people make good money in Adobe, but this week looking kind of rough. They did slightly beat EPS, 448 a share actual versus 438 a share expected, but they lowered their outlook for the next year hard. And one of the big things, there are two real big reasons about that is, of course, AI. Adobe, you've got a little bit of AI integration, especially in Photoshop, but competition is fierce. I mean, between Canva, GIMP is free, DaVinci Resolve is free. And like, I mean, I use Premiere Pro. I love Premiere Pro. I firmly believe it's the best thing on the market. But if FA at Marketplace didn't pay for it for me, I'd be using DaVinci Resolve because it's free.
Right.
I mean, like again, if you're looking to make like high quality YouTube or like professional filmmaking, it's great. But I think a lot of hobbyists are kind of learning that it's not worth the money. I mean, prime example again, Premiere Pro alone is $23.99 a month here in the US at least. That's what we're paying for it at Marketplace.
Right. 24
I
US dollars per month.
Yes. Canva, which is kind of like a light Adobe Photoshop and also a light video editor, among a few other things. That $23.99 is just for me. The other two guys can't use it. That is one license. I
Ooh,
paid $12.99 a month for Canva, and I have 5 people on it. Half price, and granted, again, their editing tool isn't as good as Photoshop, but I don't need it to be. Their video editing isn't as good as Premiere Pro, but like 90% of people don't need it to be. So Adobe's starting to get hit hard by the competition fears, really. Also, I'm going to throw this out there too. Canva will go public at some point. They are
yeah.
already in pre-IPO talks, kind of like Reddit was back in like 2021. I'm buying Canva when it comes out. I will buy stock in Canva. You heard it here first.
Yeah, well, going back to my opinion last week of the IPO, kind of sort of again, not financial advice, but my idea is like wait out the IPO, wait out till it kind of has that first day or 2 days like upshoot and then buy in after it's fallen back down to where it's really going to settle in at or it's what I like to call the, like sort of the true beginning price, right? Like
Hmm.
sort of going back to the numbers we were using for examples last week, an IPO at $30 and then it shoots up to $40 in that first day of trading because the day traders are just driving it up. And then the next morning it's at, $18. Well, buy it the next morning at $18 is my idea. Not and again, not financial advice, but I've just seen that movie play
Oh
so many
yeah.
times and I'm sure you've seen it as well, right?
There are very few companies that when they IPO, I feel the need that like I have to buy in. One that I bought in and I really regret selling because I wish I still held it was Airbnb. Airbnb jumped from $68 to 157 in its first week or week and a half of trading. Like more than 100% return overnight.
Yeah.
And then it went up again by the end of February to over $200. It's never touched its IPO price again. It's never gotten that low. That was a company I believed in. I was very happy to buy in at. I wish I'd held a little longer, but again, another talk.
Yeah. So obviously there's exceptions to the rules, and there's outliers, but I'm just saying kind of my general, what I've seen in so many times is that movie repeating itself.
Oh yeah, I've got to have very strong conviction to go on an IPO. Airbnb was my first, and I think Canva will be my second. I don't hold an Airbnb now, except through broad market index funds, so this is not investment advice. But that said, Reddit goes live next Thursday. I will not be investing in Reddit. We're going to let Wall Street Bets have its fun.
Yeah.
Then I might consider buying it.
Yeah. Well, and there's the other thing too, is Wall Street Bets will have its fun with Reddit. Like, you can pretty much see, like, Reddit is sort of the source of things like AMC and GameStop, right? Like, so how is Reddit not going to have their whole Wall Street Bets just go crazy? I don't know.
Yeah, if only somebody was trying to make a Reddit-like platform to talk stocks and stock markets, but with a heavier moderation. Oh well, right. Marketplace.com if you got some time to check it out.
Yeah. And I was going to say, earlier on, when you wanted a second to plug something, you should have been plugging Marketplace. Although I do appreciate you plugging the Passive Income Posse merch in that 30 seconds.
Well, again, for every 10 coffee mugs you guys buy on the site, Dave buys me another swimming pool.
That's right. You just got to buy 10 coffee mugs. They're really inexpensive. Like, so I don't understand the math. It's something in the exchange rate between Canadian and US dollars. You buy 10 coffee mugs, I can buy Joseph a pool. It's as,
Dave and I are committing money laundering is what's happening.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. No. For legal purposes, that is a joke.
That's right. Friday before open.
I have never heard of any of these companies.
That's kind of what I was like. I don't know. Soho House, Town Square. What is Town Square?
Let's go to the old Google machine.
Yeah. So we really have, I guess, nothing to talk about on Friday because we don't know any of these companies. Was there anything on Friday that it's not here on the graphic? Like, usually these graphics are from Earnings Whisperer, and again, shout out to @Div Dairyland, who I borrow these graphics from every morning on Twitter. Yeah, so obviously usually these are really good graphics that sort of show the major players of the week, but you come up like this and it's just like, well, to use my line from last week, a whole lot of nothing burgers, right?
Yeah, Town Square Media does like radio stations.
Okay.
I guess I feel like Soho House, that sounds familiar, but I don't know what that is.
Right.
Some kind of membership platform. I'm using Robinhood's description, and it's not very thorough. They beat earnings. They're not profitable. They beat earnings. They're down. I guess earnings was bad because they're down like 13%, 14% today. Down 63% in the last since here we go. Here's a great IPO for us to talk about, Dave. Soho House, listed July 15th, 2021, is down 63% since then. Day one, day two-ish, it rocketed up pretty high. All-time high to this date. And it's been all downhill since then.
Did I ever get to Bitcoin? I don't think I got to Bitcoin, did I?
We did not get to. We mentioned it, but we never really got to it.
Okay, so, Bitcoin this week, I believe hit.
This is USD, isn't it?
This is in USD, yes. This is on CoinMarketCap, and I want to say it hit at least 3 new all-time highs this week. The previous all-time high was. Was it just shy of 68 or sorry, just shy of 69,000? So even right now we're very close to that previous all-time high. Of course, we call this the weekly close live. Bitcoin cryptocurrency never closes. So currently right now trading at $68,369 dollars and 20 cents. Oh, and 79. Yeah, I'd see how quickly it changes there in USD. Now, uh, where is the number that I'm
Yeah,
looking for? Oh, right
I,
here.
which I was
All-time
just
high. The new all-time high as of right now is 73,750. And yeah, it definitely hit all-time highs uh 2 or 3 times in this past week. So it's been quite an exciting week. Again, right now down 5,000. Really, in Bitcoin terminology, 5 grand is not a lot. It is so volatile. Um, yeah, it's I do see why day traders love something like Bitcoin. Hey, buy it at 68 grand, sell it at 73. You made 5 grand on the day, right? Like that's a pretty good day.
I
Switch over to the 7 day chart and all sorts of stuff going on here. The 1 month chart is very interesting as well. Just as of like 226. So what's that? Just 2.5 to 3 weeks ago at 51,000. And it's just, as we're seeing the Bitcoin halving coming up shortly, like probably
eight,
almost definitely happening in April.
April 15th is the expected date.
Yeah, the expected date. So you just see this upward trend. And I mean, Bitcoin is an interesting story, right?
To say the least. We might have to add a few. Again, I've heard rumors or I've heard whisperings about a few other cryptos poised to jump in a similar fashion. We'll see if we end up adding a few more to it. But yeah, Bitcoin's an interesting case, which kind of also for anyone at home, I do want to add this here. Yeah, this Bitcoin 68K all-time high is looking pretty good, but we are also just now hitting 2021's highs. So if you bought
Yeah.
Bitcoin at the top in 2021, you are just now breaking even.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. And before we went live this evening, I was saying that exact same thing to you, where I saw a tweet where somebody was like, "If you bought $10,000 worth of Bitcoin in 2021, you now have $10,000 worth of Bitcoin." And it's like, fair point, fair point. But I was also mentioning before we went live, could you imagine being someone in 2011 or 2012 that bought 1,000 Bitcoin at like 4 cents or 25 cents or whatever it was worth back then, and figured out a way to hold on to your keys and not lose your crypto wallet? Because again, we were talking about back then, there was no such thing as crypto apps or, you know, so I'm sure so much of that Bitcoin from those days is just vanished. It's just gone.
Oh,
Woo,
without a
gone away,
doubt.
right? So
It's totally. I used to work with a guy. Would have been like 2020ish. So Bitcoin had just hit like 30K, 40K. He swore he had bought like 10 Bitcoins in like 2012, but lost his hard key.
yeah,
So what would have been 20 Bitcoins at like 300 a pop would be about what, 6 grand into about 800 grand gone.
yeah,
And we were working part-time at a grocery store together. So that was easily 40, 50 times what we were making in a year combined.
yeah. Wow. Speaking of other cryptos too, yeah, Ethereum, it's obviously trending up nicely with Bitcoin. I personally need it to hit 5 grand USD, um, just because I need to take profit from it to for some other needs. But I'm just kind of holding out as long as I can. I'm sort of riding this trend until that April. Sorry, what did you say? April 15th or April 18th?
Yeah, I mean, anything we say is pure speculation. There's no
Right.
like set date. Last
That's
I
exactly
read was the 15th was the expected.
right. And
Also,
so I'm just riding this. I'm just hoping Ethereum keeps riding its wave up with Bitcoin, as it probably will. Well, it almost definitely will. It always has
most
in the
cryptos
past.
do. I was also just kind of on the crypto topic. If you invested in BlockFi like I did, those bankruptcy checks hit this week. Dave, I got a bankruptcy check from BlockFi. You want to guess how much I got?
72 cents.
Oh, and I got more than that. Give me some credit. We big baller compared to that, Dave.
Oh, $1.44.
Two
I
dollars
doubled
and
it. I
fifty
went from
two cents.
72 all the way up to $1.44.
I got $2.52 from BlockFi today, which to be fair is about as much crypto as I had on their platform.
Okay, well,
It's gonna if I want to. Originally they were doing ACH transfers. The ACH fee was like $4.99, but they sent me a check in the mail.
nice.
I
Awesome.
I guess I'll cash it. Sure. And then I'll get Taco Bell or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what else is 99 cents or less.
No, no, no. That actually reminds me, like the lowest check I ever received in the mail was like for 29 or 31 cents or something. And it was like it was a company that I had worked for, but they had made a mistake on what they had paid me. So they sent me another check for the it's like literally the stamp costs more than this check, right?
That's about what my first ever dividend check was. And I got a physical check in the mail for that too.
Yeah.
And let me tell you that when that first that would have been 2018, 2019, give or take, when I got my first ever like physical dividend check. Changes your life. I mean, here we 5-6 years later, now I'm doing this. Highly recommend get that passive income.
Exactly. Exactly. Get that passive income. Join the Passive Income Posse by hitting that subscribe button below. We do have to play the over/under game this week on how many viewers do you think have tuned in here to the weekly close live? I would love to know where all these viewers are. Are you on YouTube? Are you on Twitch? Are you on Twitter? Or are you on Kick? I have no idea. I can't see where the viewers are, but I can see the total numbers. So I'm going to give you the same over/under as last week at 50. Actually, I guess I have to go 50.5 because it could be 50 right on. So the over/under is 50.5. What do you think?
I'm going to say, yeah, like you said, everyone post in the chat, unless you're a bot, give us your totally not scam crypto link. Like, I have 3 fake dividend Daves in my DMs right now. And 1 real one.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the real one, by the way.
In case you didn't know. Over under 50. We hit like 47 last week, and you were surprised by that. And you haven't really been too surprised this week. So I'm going to go under 50.5.
We are
really?
Over.
Let's go.
We are at 50. Oh, just went up to 56. So welcome to all 56 viewers. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Weekly Close Live here on the Passive Income Posse. Again, feel bad, but we've already went through the whole week, right? Monday through Friday, we've talked about Bitcoin, all the different interesting news of the week. And
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, we're already about a half hour over too.
Well, yes, I see that we've managed to go to 53, 54 minutes when we usually try to keep these to that.
Not my fault this time.
No, I've been a little more talkative this week, I think. So
that's all right. It's content.
Great content. I appreciate you, Joseph. Thank you again for joining me this week on the Weekly Close Live.
Of course.
For those of you watching on whatever platform you're on, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you being here. And
very much so.
Please be sure to come back. We're here every single Friday afternoon at 5:30 p.m., which is now Eastern Daylight Time, right? EDT.
Ridiculous. I hate this. Daylight, if it could just stay daylight time year round, because daylight is my preferred, can't stand the change.
Yeah, if you want to rant about that,
yeah,
please go off.
Everybody in the chat with pets, you know exactly, like my dogs get fed at 8 and 5 every single day, Monday through Sunday. Anytime we get a time, and they're spoiled. I know they are, even though they're in the kennel right now, so they probably think that I don't love them. One of them went to the vet today, so she really thinks that I don't love her.
Right.
But you get that time change, and all of a sudden now their schedule's thrown off. So
yeah, why would a pet know that the time is any different, right? They're like, we're going out now. It like, especially for me, because I'm more of a morning person, so I get up now, and 2 weeks ago it was light out well before 7 a.m. and now the dog's thinking, why are we going out in the dark at 6:30, right?
See, mine been having the opposite problem of which is kind of weird given that we jumped forward an hour. But I'm also a morning person, up between like 5:30, 7 days a week. Now at like 4:30, they're like, "Hey, why are you still in bed?"
Yeah.
And then come 6:30, they're like, "Why is there no food in the bowl?" I don't know. Maybe they're doing it backwards. Maybe it's the daylight. I don't know, but it's anyone with pets. And I'm sure if you have a cat, it's worse.
Yeah.
I unfortunately do
Actually,
not have
not
a
really,
cat.
because cats just do their own thing. They don't care, right?
I was every cat we had growing up was more sticky to the food schedule than the dog was,
Mm,
and they let you know about it.
yeah.
One day, if you two ever learn to behave, we'll get you guys a cat.
Yeah.
I'm. We'll do a
Okay.
if I ever get a cat, we'll do a special passive income podcast episode. If
Definitely, definitely. Before we sign off, I'm going to give a shout out here to buyinvestingshirts.com. You can receive a free passive income posse, turn that cash register around coffee mug with any purchase over 100 Canadian dollars before taxes and shipping at buyinvestingshirts.com. Use code word posse for a 5% discount on your purchase, link in the description. Joseph, how much is 100 Canadian dollars?
slightly under 74 US dollars if we're going to 4 decimal places.
That's right. This week.
74 if we round.
Yeah, exactly. So, basically, head over there, get on top of your 5% discount, get your USD discount as well. Thank you so much to all 57 viewers who have tuned in. I would love to know which platforms you're watching on. So, um, if we don't catch you here, definitely, maybe try me on Twitter. Let me know that you've been watching on YouTube or Twitch or X or Kick. I would love to know. And again, please be sure to join us here every single Friday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the weekly close live here on the Passive Income Podcast. And also, please be sure to hit like, subscribe, follow whatever platform you're on. We appreciate that as well. Thank you so much. And we will see you again next week.